Ayo, it is Izuru Senpai here, and today we are doing another what if, and this what if is, what if Deku was experimented on part 3, and the ship in this is Area X Deku. We are not doing, actually we are, a little bit of a recap. They had a USJ fight, and Deku got kind of a little bit banged up, and then Eri got injured herself, but she was able to rewind herself, so she wasn't really that hurt by the time everything was done, because she could just heal herself. But Izuku ended up in the hospital after he lost control of his power and hit Kirishima, so he's worried about what his friends are going to think of him, so he goes to class the next day after getting almost stopped by Eri yesterday because he went out there alone. But so he has the class, and he's like thinking like everyone's gonna hate him for what he did, and he's like thinking he's lost Kirishima's friendship. He's like, no, I can't believe this. But he walks into class, and everyone's just staring at him, and he walks in and just says hi, and then goes and sits down at his desk because he does not want to cause any commotion that is not needed. So he goes over and he sits at his desk. Everyone is staring at him. When Izuku says, sorry, give me a sec. Izuku says that, guys, I know that you guys probably hate me right now, so if you guys want to say something, just please say it. I mean, that is like, yeah, what do you think we're gonna do? You attacked Kirishima. I mean, who does that? You were probably the one that planned that stupid villain attack, huh? Weren't you? And, Eri, even though she's shy, she gets mad. She goes over and slaps Mineta and tells him, don't ever do that again. And says that he is no villain. He would never do that. And it's like, oh yeah? How do you know, huh? I bet you're just in league with him, huh? And Izuku says, enough, please. You can blame me all you want. You can say that I'm some kind of horrible person that planned this villain attack to, get whatever I wanted, is what you're thinking. But listen, Eri had no part in it, and neither did I. You can blame me all you want, but you cannot blame her. So please, don't do that. Oh yeah? Why should I listen to some villain like you? And everyone's just kind of intense. It's kind of like dense right now, like. And then some people are like, I gotta beat up like the tension in here. And Mina walks over to Mineta and says, you need to calm down and go sit over there. And Kirishima, Bakugo, and Kirishima, Bakugo, and Dark Shadow guy, whatever his name was, they walk up to him and they say hi and, start talking. And Kirishima, he asked $1 million question that everyone is wondering in that class, because the grade they get told that this happened before, where Izuku lost his power, but they're still wondering why did he lose control, because they didn't get told that. And Kirishima asks, so why did you attack me anyways? I mean, seriously, bro. And Izuku says, well, I'm about to say something kind of personal, so, not me, but, Izuku, Izuku says, I'm gonna say something kind of personal. I ain't gonna go full in detail because I'd rather not think of it, but I haven't had this power my whole life. I was born quirkless, but something happened, let's just say. I'd rather not get into that, but something happened and I got these powers. I ain't ready to explain what happens, so don't even ask. But my body isn't compatible with this completely, so I lose control a lot easier. Like how Dark Shadow over there loses control of his quirk. Except mine's a lot worse because I do lose control easier at night, but during the day I can lose control as well pretty easily. So it's kind of a thing, so yeah. Can we please stop talking about this though, because I don't want to talk about it. And Bakugo says, hey, we should probably back off from him. I know what happened to him. And if Izuku allows me to here, I will explain to the whole class what happened. And Izuku says, you know what, that would probably be for the best. And Izuku gets up, and he says, but I'm leaving the classroom. Eri, you want to come with me? So, and Eri gets up and says, yeah, I would like that. And they walk out, and everyone's visibly confused because they know that it's dealing with Deku, but they don't know why Eri walked out as well. And Bakugo steps up in front of the class, and it says that that they're all idiots. And everyone's just like, so that's how you're gonna tell us is this idiots? And Bakugo says, well, listen up. You hear that? You remember that attack that the heroes did on the base of Chisaki a few years back? I don't know if any of you saw it or heard of it, but it was about when we were around 10, 11 years old. And Mina says, yeah, I saw that on the news. It was pretty crazy. And and I don't know what that was. But Manetta's inside class and saying, okay, what does it have to deal with that stupid villain? And Bakugo's like, if you don't shut up right now, I'm gonna blow those stupid balls off your head. And Manetta's like, yeah, okay, I'll shut up. And Kirshin was like, yeah, but what does this have to deal with Deku anyways? Or Midobro. And Bakugo says, I'm getting to that. You guys remember those, supposedly that they were trying to go there because there were some people trapped in there that were being tortured. And Ida was like, Ida hears this and he's like, yeah, I heard about that. They said that there was, a few kids actually, but, some of them were unrepairable, so some of them died. But I don't understand. Why are you explaining this to us? I mean, some of us already know this. Bakugo says, are you dense? Kirsten was like, bro, why do you keep saying people are dense in here? Bakugo says, well, Izuku and Eri, they were both one of those children that were down there. And everyone has shocked faces, like, what? You know, everyone's like completely shocked because they're like, oh my goodness, are you serious? And they're talking amongst themselves, like, about, you know, all that. And Bakugo says, okay, let me finish explaining. Izuku, he was experimented on by the boss, Chisaki. He was treated like a lab rat. And he didn't have the greatest life. He ended up having the power of darkness, and that eye of his, excuse me, and it didn't turn out well for him because that power is hard to control, especially since it's not his. I hope you all can understand why he didn't give you guys an exact explanation of what was going on. Because those two went through so much pain that it was not cool. I was friends with Midoriya when he was younger, and he was a pretty good guy. He always stood up for the weak and made sure that everyone was okay. And then one day he disappeared. And then about 4 years around that, I found out that he was actually taken by the Izuku members and was being tortured after they had after the heroes had saved him and brought him out. So yeah, I hope you all can understand. I'm going to go sit down now because I'm done with this. And he walks away. And and then he's like, oh crap. And then he walks to the door, opens it and says, it's over, you guys can come back in. And Eri and Deku walk back in, and everyone's staring at them with these like sad expressions on their faces. And, just because I want to, but then it's like, that bad past of yours may be that, but guess what? That still doesn't say that you're not a villain. And Bakugo's enraged right now. He's like, what the heck did you just say? Mineta, didn't you just hear what I said? Why would he become a villain after he was treated like that by a villain? And Mineta's like, well, guess what? I believe he's still a villain, so, And everyone's just like, shut up, Mineta. And everyone gives him this glare, and he's like, oh, shut up now. And we don't hear anything from Mineta for the rest of the day. Now, after they all settle down, it's like, yeah. Izuku and Eri, we're gonna get a little bit of a date on with them, okay? Kind of, in a way. Not a full-on date. But Izuku is walking with Eri home. And Eri asks Deku if they can go on a date. And Izuku's like, when she says date, she means like, those animes where people say, hey, you want to go on a date? And, they're just saying, hang out. That's what Izuku thinks that she means, even though Eri's actually asking him out as a date, on a date. And so, he's like, yeah, sure, where do you want to go? And Eri says, can we just go to, this restaurant? And I'm just gonna say she says a random restaurant, because I don't know any restaurants there in my hero world. But, so he's like, sure, let's do it tomorrow. Are you free? And Eri's like, yeah, I'm free. See you tomorrow at 8? Yeah, and he says, well, we'll be seeing each other before that. I mean, we live in the same house. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of, you know how I am. And he's like, yeah, I know. They walk home and they go to bed. Next day, it's a weekend, so they don't have any school. Izuku gets up really early, though, and heads out for an early run because, he wants to get some steam off, thinking about what he did at Hiroshima, so he's gonna try to figure out a way to control it better, other than training with Shadow Boy. Because he knows he's going to train with him, but he's trying to think of other ways as well to get some extra training in to help him. But he can't think of anything, so he runs back to the house after 2 hours because, he was wandering around and talked to some people on the way. And so he runs back home, and Eri's waiting there because, she's up. And it's about, let's say it's 8 in the morning now because he got up at 6 and now it's 8 something. And Eri's up and she's cooking. She's decided to cook. She's like, whatever, I'm gonna cook something for Aizawa. She would say dad, but you know how I am. I'm just gonna say Aizawa instead. She's like, I'm gonna cook something for Aizawa and Deku. So she cooks up some breakfast, eggs, bacon, and toast. And Izuku, he walks into the house and he's like, what is that great smell? And he walks in and looks around. And he goes to the kitchen. He sees Eri cooking. He's like, hey Eri, what you cooking? And she tells him she's cooking that stuff for breakfast. He's like, cool, I'll go get Mr. Aizawa, because it looks like you're almost done here. And she's like, yeah. And Izuku's like, thanks. And he wanders to get Aizawa. He knocks on the door. No answer. He's like, knocks on it again. No answer. Knocks one more time. No answer. And he says, hey, Aizawa. Or of course he would say, Dad. Hey, Dad. If you don't answer the door in 10 seconds, I'm coming in. And no one answers for those 10 seconds. So he walks in, and he starts laughing his head off. He's like, oh my goodness. What the heck? I didn't know you. Oh my. And Eri hears maniacal laughing, not maniacal, but crazy laughing, and she wanders over in Mr. Aizawa's room, following the noise, and she walks in there, and then she starts looking really surprised. He doesn't start laughing, but she's really surprised and says Mr. Aizawa, what is this? And he responds with, get out. You weren't supposed to see this. And what they're looking at right now is Aizawa on his bed with a giant tiger-sized pillow of a cat. And it's just fun of it. He has a cat shrine in the corner, and Izuku looks over and sees the cat shrine. He's like, do you worship cats? And he's just like, get out. That's none of your business. He's like, oh my goodness. And starts laughing even harder. And Aizawa's getting mad. He's like, if you don't get out right now, I'm going to expel you for Yue. I don't care if you're my son. And he was like, yeah, I'm getting out. And he walks out. He's still laughing. And Eri walks out too. And they talk about what they just saw. They're just like, what did we just see? I didn't know Mr. Aizawa liked cats that much. I knew he liked cats, but I didn't know he worshipped them. They're just like, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm pretty surprised myself. And Aizawa walks out and says, so what did you two want anyways? And they're like, oh, Eri made breakfast and I was gonna come and get you. Until I saw, and I was like, shut up. We never mentioned what you just saw. And she was like, sure. Okay, I won't mention it. For now. So I was like, you better not mention it ever. And he goes and sits down at the table. Because Eri says, everyone, please sit down. I'm going to serve you guys breakfast. And he goes like, yeah, I'll help. And Eri's like, no, you are going to sit down. I'm going to serve breakfast. And Izuku's like, okay, you're the boss. And she sits down because Eri's like, even though she's shy when she's at home, she is takes authority more. So Aizawa and Deku are sitting down at the table, and she serves plates, 3 plates, one for Aizawa, one for Deku, one for her. And they start to eat, and this is the first time Deku's tasting our food because she hasn't really cooked before. Because she's cooked before, but not at the house. She's gone to a little bit cooking lessons without Deku and Aizawa. They knew she went, but they never tasted her food. They tasted her cooking now and then, but other than that, they didn't really have anything else of her food. And they're like, this is amazing, Eri, and they just gobble it down. Okay, so after breakfast, Deku's like, I'm gonna head out for a bit. I'm gonna do some shopping. So he leaves and he goes over to let's just say he goes random store, okay? Random store. He's like, I want to pick up some clothes for the date me and Eri are having. He's completely clueless, not knowing that she actually asked him out on a date, and that's why Eri is so happy right now. And so he just picks up some normal clothes because He's like, yeah, these will work, because, like, he wanted to dress up a little bit because they were going to a pretty fancy restaurant, and Deku didn't really own any fancy clothes. So, he picks up some fancy clothes, and let's just say, like, I know what he'll wear. Let's say he'll wear the same thing he wears for the UA festival. Like, not a sports festival, but the one in Season 4 where they're trying to make Eri really happy. Except it's green instead of a yellowish color, like in the picture. You see what Deku's wearing? He's wearing that, but green. Yeah. So, he gets back to the house, and we'll say that he was buying other stuff as well, but we don't really need to get into that. So it's, let's say it's like 2 in the afternoon. So they're 6 hours away from their date. And Eri goes up to Deku and says, hey, so you ready to go when we have to go? Even though we still have 6 hours, I would like to know. And Deku's like, yeah. And Eri hugs him and says, I'm happy you decided to go with me. And Deku notices this, that she's really happy right now. He's like, yeah, we're just hanging out, and why are you so happy? And this kind of gets Eri a little bit mad, because she thought, like, she doesn't get mad, but she gets a little bit sad, thinking, like, he thought it was a real date. But she says to Deku, I think you got my little, question wrong yesterday. And he says, like, what do you mean? You asked us to go on a date. I don't get it. And Eri's like, I didn't mean hanging out. I meant, like, an actual date. Like, a lover's date? And Eri's, like, blushing madly right now, because that took a lot to say. And Deku's like, he's trying to speak, but he's speechless. And Aizawa's, like, they don't realize that Aizawa is still in the room. And he looks at them and says, hey, well, if you guys don't say anything about what you just saw in my room, I won't say anything about this. But if you peep one word about it, I'll spill it to the whole school. And Izuku's like, okay. So he's not going to say anything. He was going to, but he's not going to right now. Not yet, at least. But Izuku's like, oh, I didn't know you felt like that. And Eri's like, yeah, I'm sorry for getting the wrong idea. And she runs off to her room and slams the door, because she's mad and happy. Not mad and happy. She's mad and sad at the same time, so she's crying, kind of, in her room. And Izuku's like, I messed up. So he goes over to her door, and he's thinking, like, because Izuku, he does have feelings for her, like, romantically. But he was too, like, shy to say it right there, right then. He was kind of speechless. So he goes up to her door and knocks, and we'll say it's actually been like 10 minutes, and then he goes up there and knocks, and Harry's like, who is it? With a, a little bit of a sad voice, and Deku's like, hey, it's me. Well, actually, we won't say it was 10 minutes. We'll say it was like, considering what's that time? We'll say it was 6 hours, because he was thinking over it, and like Eri still didn't come out of our room. She was gonna wait until he came out of the room to tell her, but it was only an hour until they were gonna leave. But he didn't know if they were going anymore. But he's like, I better go and see. So he gets up and walks to the door and knocks, and Eri's like, who is it with the sad tone voice? Deku says, hey, it's me, and can I please come in? Eri responds with, yeah. He opens the door and walks in, sees Eri sitting on her bed, and he could tell that she was crying a little bit. And he walks up to her and says, I'm sorry. And Eri's like, no, you shouldn't be saying you're sorry. I shouldn't have rushed things and got the wrong idea. With Eri looking down with her really sad face, as Deku wraps his arms around her and says, "Truth is, I feel the same way. I just thought you meant a hangout date, because I thought you would never feel that way for me. So I didn't even question if it was a real date or just a date. So, yeah, sorry about that." And Aries like, "What?" And Dave was like, you heard me. And kisses her on the forehead and then just hugs her tighter. And Aerie is madly blushing right now because she just got kissed on the forehead. Even if it wasn't, contact to lips, she was still blushing. And she can't really say anything right now. And about half an hour later, he's still holding her in her arms. And Izuku, he lets go over and says, "Hey, so you still want to go to that date?" And Aerie's like, "Yeah, I would like that." So Aerie and him get ready and, go to the place. And Aerie and Deku are talking and about their relationship, because Deku did say he liked her, and Aerie pretty much said he liked him too, or And Deku, he's talking to her, and then he says, "Hey, Aerie, would you like to be my girlfriend?" And Aerie's like, "Are you sure that you would want someone like me? I mean, there are plenty of girls in our class that would probably like you." Deku's like, "Yeah, I would probably like you more, because I've known you a lot longer, and I have had feelings for you for like 2 years now, so yeah." Mary's like, "That long, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah." And Mary says, "Well, I've had it for about 4 years," and she's like laughing a little bit with a little chuckle. And he's like, "Holy crap, I can't believe you like me that long." And she's like, "Yeah, I was just too shy to tell you. It actually took me a lot to even ask you out on that date. And that's why I kind of went up to my room and cried a little bit." And then Izuku's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that," because he knows it's his fault for misunderstanding the situation. But he, after the dinner, they go home, and end of the day. Now we're gonna skip back to Monday when they have to head back to school. And Izuku walks into class, and everyone, some people still have doubts about Izuku. So some people do give him a little bit of a look, but he just ignores it and keeps going to his desk and sits down. And after Aerie and them get settled, Aizawa walks in and tells them that they're heading to Actually, let's do I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I can't remember the arc exactly, but I think it was the forest attack and then the UA festival. But whatever, I'm going to do the UA festival first, because I don't really want to go to one attack straight to the other in 2 videos. So yeah. So Aizawa walks in and says, "So you guys are going to be doing the UA festival." And I just realized something. I think it might have been before all that. I feel stupid now. I'm not sure anymore. Oh my goodness, I feel really stupid. But whatever, let's continue. He says, "Well, you guys are going to be doing the UA festival." And everyone gets really excited and all that. And Degu's pretty excited too, because he's seen a few of the UA festivals in person, because... Give me a second, you guys. I'm back, sorry. But they get told about the festival, and they're all excited, and Izuku and them, they have a weekly train, so they train. And we're going to say that Izuku unlocks something new. So, what he's going to... Oh, sorry, give me a second. Oh, that hurt. What Izuku is going to unlock is going to be... Let's say... Okay, let's say he gets a little bit more control over his dark power because he had Tokuyami's help training. So he has a little bit of control over that. And he can now, like, make... No. Give me a second. Sorry. He can now make it so he can make one person go back in time, which, like, what I mean by that is, like, let's go with, like, something we've all seen. Trying to think of something we've all seen, because if you're watching My Hero Academia, what if, then you've probably seen My Hero Academia. So I'll say that, like, we'll use the first part when Deku first met All Might. Like, if he would have had this power then, he could have made it so All Might went back in time about 30 seconds, okay? But it wouldn't have affected what happened in the timeline. The only thing that would have happened is pretty much he would be sent back 30 seconds. But everything that just happened had already happened. Like, basically, in a UA festival, if someone attacks Izuku, and you're about to hit him with a explosion. Let's say Baku's trying to hit him with an explosion. He can make it so he makes Baku go back in time, but no one else goes back in time. He just goes back in time about 30 seconds, but he remembers what happened. So he's like, what did you just... You'd be like, what did you just do to me, you know? Stuff like that, because it's a new power. I mean, why the heck am I saying that? I haven't even done it yet. Oh, I'm gonna shut up now. Not really, but you know what I mean. Well, they're about to do the festival, and at midnight, the R-rated hero? Or 18 plus rated hero? I know it was the 18 plus rated hero, there was another word for it. But whatever. She spins a wheel, and they get the, obstacle course. And Izuku's like, this is gonna be a piece of cake. Izuku, he goes over to the the obstacle course, and he's getting ready to run. But then he sees Todoroki having his foot up a little bit. And he's like, you know, I'm gonna wait back for a second, because I feel like a lot of people are about to get trapped. And everyone starts rushing. And Izuku's standing there, and everyone's just like, dude, go. And he's like, dude, I said go. And he's like, puts a finger up and just does that thing where people, like, you know, put their finger back and forth for a second, saying, like, nope. And he waits a second, and all of a sudden, Todoroki freezes to the ground. And then he's like, okay, and starts running. And then Midnight's like, did he know that Todoroki was going to do that? So everyone's pretty astonished at what he just did, because he predicted that. And he was going, and because he feels a little bit he's a little bit angry towards Todoroki, because he said that he was a villain and stuff like that as well, I think. Yeah, I think he was one of the people that said that, I put him in. If not, then it might have been when I was trying to record this another time, and it stopped for some reason. But we'll just say that he was one of the people who called him a villain, and said that he was a monster and all that. So he's a little bit angry towards Todoroki, and he doesn't hurt him, but he's like, you know, play a little prank on him. He uses a little bit of his darkness and puts it right under his foot. And when Todoroki steps down and puts his foot down, he slips completely, because Deku put a piece of darkness under his foot, which made him completely slip. Because the darkness made it so it was on level. And Deku keeps running and says, hey Todoroki, I thought you couldn't slip in your own ice. And Todoroki gets mad, but Deku keeps running. And he's trying to catch up to Bakugo because Bakugo has gotten ahead. And Deku's like, hey Bakugo, wait for me. And Bakugo says, not this time, nerd. And they're like neck and neck now. And Izuku's like, hey, what's up? Because he's like, shut up. And starts using more of the explosions to get away. And Izuku, he's like, okay, let's go. Oh, and before I go any further, I don't remember if I gave him one for all. So I'm just going to say that Mirio has it in case. So what if I did give it to him? I'm sorry. But Mirio has it now. Pretty sure I gave it to him in the first place. But I gave it to Mirio in the first place, I mean. But, you know, I just want to clarify that just in case. Izuku, he's running and he's catching up to Kacchan because Kacchan started using more of his power. So Deku's like, you know, I'm gonna go a little bit harder on him. So he takes the darkness and denses down his muscles, and he starts running even faster. And he gets ahead of him, and they reach the first obstacle with the robots. And Izuku's like, you know, I ain't dealing with this. And he runs and just runs right past him. He's like, I don't feel like dealing with these guys. He reaches the second obstacle when Katsuki's dealing with one of the robots because he couldn't get past them like Izuku did because he was one of the first ones over there, and he got lucky to get a opening. Izuku, he reaches that obstacle course with the like tightrope stuff, and he's like, okay. And another thing he learned to do is to like fly, kind of, not exactly, but you'll see in a second here. He takes the darkness and puts it at the bottom of his feet, and you know, makes it so the darkness is making little blasts at the bottom, and he makes a little blast at the bottom, on his back, and so he's like moving forward and up at the same time. And he like lets go of the blast on his feet sometimes to make it so he's not going too high, and then starts it up again to make sure he doesn't fall too low. Just goes across it like that, lands, and then starts running again. Tenses up his muscles and starts running. And then he hears, hey, damn nerd, get back here! Sorry, dang nerd. I just don't want to get in trouble by my parents, so I'm just gonna use dang and stuff like that. But, yeah. So Izuku, he's running and hears that, and he turns around and sees Bakugo catching up, so he's like, I'm gonna go a little bit faster. So he starts speeding up. And they get to the next obstacle course, and ooh, this is gonna be fun. And Deku has an idea, like, you know what, Kacchan, I'm gonna play a little prank on you like I did Todoroki, so this is gonna be a lot worse. He's just like laughing in his head, like, yes. And so he uses darkness and seeps into the ground. And he moves all the mines in, like, right behind him, where Katsuki's path is gonna be. And when Katsuki gets like directly over the pile, Izuku denses the darkness that's in there and blows up the mines, and it blows up Katsuki. Of course, it's not gonna hurt him, but you know, it still does pretty good impact. And Izuku, he's running and he gets first place. And yeah, so he finds up at 10,000 points. He's not as scared this time though. He's like, okay, I'll deal with this. And he gets Eri on his team. He gets Eri on his team. He's like, you know, this will be good. And oh my goodness, let's just say this is gonna be hilarious. No way. And May gets on his team, and then he like needs one more. He asks Ida, but Ida's like, no, I see you as a rival, so I want to beat you. He's like, yeah, okay, I see. So he goes up to Tokiyami and says, hey, Tokiyami, you want to join me? Tokiyami's like, sure, whatever. I mean, seems to ask me yet, so why not? So he goes with him, and, you know, they're about to start, because just cavalry battle is what they're doing. And Izuku, he, gets ready. They're about to start. Midnight yells, go! And everyone starts charging at Izuku, and this is gonna be over in like a few seconds because like Izuku doesn't feel like dealing with any of this. And Eri's like, you know, I can take care of these guys in a few seconds because we're gonna say that Eri is the horse in this one, or I think it's the horse or the rider, whatever, you know, the person on top. And she explains the plan right before they get over there. And they're like, yeah, that actually sounds really fun. And May's like, oh, I love your quirk. And everyone on the team's like this smirking. And the thing is, Bakugo, he notices this. He's like, I'm gonna wait a second because I don't like those smirks. And when, let's say that Todoroki's team makes it over there. And Todoroki's about to try to touch Eri by grabbing the headband, you know? Grabbing the headband. But he tries. He's about an inch away. Eri touches his hand. And then everyone's face is in shock. Like, the stands of the people, like where people are in the stands, they're all shocked. And all the other classes are all shocked. And they stop. And they're like, did that really just happen? And what they're seeing right now, what they saw was Todoroki running, and all of a sudden, as soon as he was about to get the headband, he turned into a baby, because Eri rewinded him back to a baby. And everyone's staring at him like, oh my goodness. And we're just going to say that he does not lose his memories. I don't know if you lose your memories if you get rewind. So he's like, sitting there, crying. He's like, he's trying to talk. He's like, well, Eri, why would you do this? In this baby voice, and everyone's like, oh, it's baby Shoto. Then some people are just kind of laughing, and Todoroki gives Deku's team a glare, like a baby glare, and Izuku looks at me and says, so baby Shoto, you wanna come over and I'll be your babysitter? And she was like, you're mean, Deku. You know, like, he's trying to get other words out, but like different words are coming out because he's a baby. In a way, not baby, but he's old enough to talk, but not fully. Because, like, when you rewind, his brain does not have the brain power to, you know, use all those other words he would usually use. Like, he remembered everything, tried to say those words, but it came out differently. But yeah, and everyone's just like, you know what, I don't know if I want to get near him anymore. And Katsu's like, yeah, I ain't dealing with that. So Katsuki steals some other headbands. And we're gonna say that Minetta's team is gonna be stupid and like, I'm gonna steal your headband, Deku. And Deku's like, hey, Eri, you wanna take care of that? I mean, turn, what's his face? Duplicate man with his arms and everything. Deku says, take care of him. Just turn him into a baby. Turns him into a baby. Same thing happens. Kind of. And, you know, takes their headband. So now, like, we're gonna say Deku, I think, like, what they got was, like, I think, like, it would have, like, okay, I'm trying to think. I think it would have, like, 11,000 now. Close to 11,000 points, I think. Yeah, I think the headband that Deku got was 10,000? Pretty sure it was 10,000. But, yeah. And the camera battle ends! And Izuku, he is happy and all that stuff. And, the sports festival part comes along. And guess what? I'm gonna end it right there, because I was honestly gonna do the whole sports festival arc, but I'm sitting here and I'm almost falling asleep, so I should really get to bed. So, yeah, I haven't had a good sleep schedule lately, so yeah. I hope to see you guys in the next video. And, yeah. Have a nice one.